It's a good idea to count your stitches every row when you're first starting out, and then every few rows when you get a little more confident in your knitting skills. We want to make sure we have the same number that we started out with, or our piece of knitting is going to look wonky if we get bigger or smaller, and we want it to be nice and straight. Here, I've shown you what it looks like if you drop a stitch and it's starting to unravel down the row. It's kind of cool to see how each stitch is just a loop that's locked on to the next row. When you see this happen, you might panic a little, but no panicking. I'm going to show you how to fix it. With garter stitch, which is simply knit every row, no purls, if it's gone down one row, we're going to put this piece of yarn in the front, and then here is the loop from the row below. You can use a darning needle or a small crochet hook. The crochet hook is a little more helpful because it will grab the yarn easier. But if what we have is a darning needle, that's fine too. We're going to go in through the back, catch that loose bit of yarn there, and pull it up. You'll see here we have our little bump that we're wanting to have. You'll know we did it incorrectly if we pull it up and we have no bump. So for this, the loose yarn needs to be in the front. We pull it back. Make sure you get all the plies of the yarn. And here we have our loop that we're going to put back on the left needle. So we're ready to knit again. If we drop a stitch and we've gone down 2 rows, so we have 2 loose strands. We've gone down 2 rows. We'll go through the front to pick up 1 loop. Whoops, make sure you get the lower loose bit. Going through the front. Then going through the back. You can see how a crochet hook would be easier to grab this here. But the darning needle works just fine. And we'll take a good look here, make sure that this row looks the same. We have bumps in the appropriate places. We're ready to continue knitting. Sometimes you will have knit along, and maybe it's all the way back here that you notice that you dropped a stitch. What you can do is, I've just used a bobby pin before, and just put a bobby pin on where that loop will be that you've dropped, and that way it won't continue to fall down until you can come back and complete this process on the other side. You can also use a stitch marker, an interlocking stitch marker like this if you have one, and it can just hold it until you're ready to come back and fix it that way.